Squirrels are known for saving, but with the help of AARP, they won't be the only ones. From planning to budgeting, AARP is here to help you stretch your dollar further. So take on today and every day with AARP. Learn how at takeontoday.aarp.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Back to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here. Welcome to hour number 2, shall I say, of the Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio. Always an honor and privilege to have my next guest, my buddy, one of the premier voices on college basketball, former coach at Virginia Tech, my man, the one and only Coach Seth Greenberg is right here with yours truly. What's going on, Coach? How you doing, man?
Stephen A., life is wonderful in beautiful Avon, Connecticut. It's a beautiful day out here today. We got the draft. I'm doing the draft on ESPN Radio tonight. Life is good. Can't complain.
Let me add that I called you because I need an education, so I'm usually debating with you. I'm usually going back and forth to you. I am at the mercy of you on this particular afternoon, Coach, because I don't know what the hell to make of this draft. How good is this draft?
It's good in front court players. It's got pretty good depth. It's not what it's hyped up to be. I think it was overly hyped. And like,
hold on, Coach. Where specifically do you think is hype? Break that down for me.
Well, I'm going to give you right now, all right? Dante DiVincenzo and Kevin Huerter went to the Combine with an idea that they weren't even going to stay in the draft. Both are going to end up in the 20s. They earn their reputation, yes, by their play during the season, but they also earn their reputation by playing against other second-round draft choices at the Combine. Jerome Robinson, who no one even knows about from Boston College, who I think could be the next Donovan Mitchell, all right? Most average fans don't even know who the dude is. He's going to go between 14 and 20. He might end up going at the bottom of the lottery. We've got four 18-year-olds in the draft, Stephen A. Four 18-year-olds. I mean, these guys should be walking across getting their high school diploma. They're going to walk across and shake the commissioner's hands with their families. So, look, the front court is no doubt. Look, you got Bagley, you got Mo Bamba, you got Wendell Carter, you got Ayton, you got Doncic. But there's a lot of ifs in this draft. And Mikal Bridges is a very good player from Villanova. I love him to death. Mm-hmm. He can knock down a three. He comes from a winning culture. He's a good defensive playmaker. Not as good on the ball.
Right.
He's going to go 9th. So, 10th. So it's a good draft. There are some steals in the second round, like Bruce Brown and some other guys, but I don't think it's what everyone has made it up to be. You know what I mean?
Coach Greenberg, let me ask you this question. DeAndre Ayton, number 1 overall, is that surefire? Is that the absolute choice the Phoenix Suns should make in this draft?
Yeah, it is. And I'll tell you why. And talking to Sean Miller during the season, DeAndre Ayton has never been coached before he went to Arizona. DeAndre Ayton never had 3 square meals a day before he went to Arizona. DeAndre Ayton was a guy that was playing on pure athleticism before he went to Arizona. Now, all of a sudden, he's getting 3 square meals a day. People said he didn't play hard. He played hard. He just was never demanded to play hard. They redefined playing hard. 7-footer, runs, jumps, catches, finishes, better defender than people are giving credit for, relentless rebounder. He's part David Robinson. He's part, you're going to like this, Sean Kemp.
Not Sean Klump. Not Sean Klump. You're talking about Sean Kemp, not Sean Klump.
Yeah, exactly. And part Dwight Howard. That's my take on him. I think he's going to be just absolutely terrific.
Well, what about this? If we're talking about him, we're talking about Bagley. Look at the things that people have said, raving about Mo Bamba. Why is DeAndre Ayton surefire? But when we said these things about Mo Bamba and Bagley, are they not as good as we thought they are, or is DeAndre Ayton just so special that he's above them?
No, I like Bagley and I like Bamba. It's like Bagley's going to average 20 and 10. Right, he's so explosive around the basket. He's got a great second jump. He can finish. Doesn't have a pure position now. I think he's today's NBA 5 man. He wants to be a 4 or 3. Surely not a 3 because he couldn't guard a 5 in college. But he can score. He can rebound. The question is, can he help you win? And I think he will, but it's going to take a while. Now, Mo Bamba is my guy. He's part Anthony Davis, part Joel Embiid. He's not Anthony Davis and he's not Joel Embiid. I said he's part. But Mo Bamba, I love him. I don't like him as much as Ayton, and the reason I love him, and here's a couple things that bother me about people when they get into Mo Bamba. He's a bright guy. He's articulate. He has other interests. all good interests. You know, he's not worried about a singing career. He's just a bright, articulate, well-read kid that is, you know, from Harlem that's really done just incredible things. Mm-hmm. So because he's all those things, people say, well, does he play hard? I did a bunch of games of his this year. He plays hard. He blocks shots. He runs the floor. He can shoot it. My only question for him is his lower body strength. His lower body strength, can he hold the spot? He's not Clint Capella because he's not a dunker spot guy. He can roll ball screen and roll front rim, but I'll tell you what, better off the mid post, very good footwork, can shoot the trail three, much more skilled offensively than Capella. I think the guy's going to be really good. I love him as a person. I love his energy. And overall, just this draft in general, these young men, these quote-unquote kids, they are really high character. Jaren Jackson, high character. Unbelievable. Like, Jaren Jackson might have as much potential as anyone in the draft that is 18. He will not be 19. He'll be playing NBA games before he's 19.
We're talking to Seth Greenberg, Coach Seth Greenberg, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio on the eve of the 2018 NBA Draft tonight at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Coach Doncic, this kid Doncic out of Europe, Real Madrid. Everybody's been raving about him. Why, and is he worth all the noise that has been made?
Well, he's 19. He's been playing with pros since he's 16. We lost our minds on Lonzo Ball last year, right? Well, let me tell you something. He's so much better than Lonzo Ball, it's ridiculous. He's the same vision and passer. He can make a shot. Now, Ball's a terrific rebounder, probably more advanced defensively. He's playing in the second-best league in the world. He's played against grown men since he's 16. You know, he's really and won. He won with his national team. He won with Real Madrid.
Well, then Coach, then why shouldn't Phoenix take him number one overall, particularly when their new coach comes from Europe?
Can't pass on Ayton.
Okay.
Can't pass. Okay. And the stuff about, you know, the Europeans, can he create separation? He's not a point guard. See, the people that want to make him a point guard, he's not a point guard. He's a point wing who can be a playmaker, which is great. That's a great position to be in. I just think the guy's really good. I want more tape to watch on him. I like his physicality. He's got to get an NBA condition, but the more tape I watch on him, the more excited I get about him.
Coach Seth Greenberg right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. So you're going to label Doncic the best non-big man. And by big man, I'm talking about the centers, the Ayton, Bagley, Mo Bamba. The best non-big man available in the draft. You're going with Doncic. Is that correct?
Yeah, well ahead of Young and well ahead of Sexton and those guys. Now, I do think my other sleeper is not a sleeper, but a guy who I think is going to be a great pro is Kevin Knox. I think Kevin Knox will be a great pro. 6'9", 9-foot standing reach, shoots threes, good without the ball, drove it better at the end of the season. Again, 18 years old. I think he's going to be really, really good.
Coach, I'm putting you on the spot right now because I'm a native New Yorker. I'm a New York Knicks fan. You know I don't have any objectivity when it comes to these New York Knicks. I get emotional. I'll be the first to admit it. The New York Knicks have the number 9 overall pick in this year's NBA draft. Trae Young, Sexton, Knox, all fall to number 9. Who should the Knicks grab?
Take Knox. Not even a question.
Over Young or Sexton?
Yep.
Why?
No hesitation. Because Young can't guard me, and he led the country in turnovers. He played for Lon Kruger, who's a terrific coach, great communicator, and obviously didn't totally buy into the team. Sexton I like, and I'm talking to Avery. Avery loves him, but not a very good decision maker, just barely a 1-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. He will be able to guard the explosive elite guards in the NBA, but his decision-making, the shot-making, you got to make shots in the NBA now. And Kevin Knox can roll in, and eventually Kevin Knox will score 20 points a game.
Who does Kevin Knox remind you of? You know how you sound, Coach? He sounds, the way you're describing Kevin Knox, I only saw him a few times this year, and I do like his game. But the way you're talking about Kevin Knox, you almost talk about him the same way you spoke about Jason Tatum. Coming out of Duke.
You remember I like Tatum.
Of course I do. Of course I do. I listen to you, Coach. You know that. You know I listen to you. Coach, I remember last year we were talking about this. You were talking about Jason Tatum the same way.
He's not as good off the bounce as Tatum was, but yes, very much so. As a scorer, yes. Without a doubt.
Coach,
I think he's I just think the guy is wired to score, and with his size and his youth and his feel, and as you watched him last year, he got better every week.
Okay, I say Knox. What about this kid Bridges that you mentioned coming out of Villanova? You like him a lot. What about the Bridges at Michigan State? What about Jaren Jackson? You would take Knox over those guys?
No, I wouldn't take him over Jaren Jackson, but I'd take him over Bridges and Bridges.
Got it.
Miles Bridges and Mikal Bridges is going to be. He's just going to be reliable. He's just going to be a good pro. He's going to be a guy who can play off corner spacing and knock down threes, and he'll guard and he'll rebound a little bit. He's a one-position player. He's a 3. Kevin Knox can play 3 and 4, and he'll be able to rebound out of that position. Mikal Bridges is going to be, I think he's going to be the new NBA 4. He's not the passer that Draymond is, but I can tell you one thing. For all the people questioning Miles Bridges, he is by far the most incredible kid in the world. He'll find a way to be successful. He's got to run the court harder. He's got to drive it a little bit more and get to the line more. He showed he can shoot spot-ups. He'll find a way. One, because Tom's guys always find a way, and number 2 is that he is one of the most delightful young men that I've had a chance to really get to know since I've done this media stuff, since I've been in television. He is incredible.
Coach Seth Greenberg, let's transition back to Trae Young for a second. We're right here with Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio with Seth Greenberg. Coach, when I look at Trae Young, I see a guy on TV that looks so miniature, so small. I met him in person. He's taller than I thought he was. Still slight of frame, but a pull-up from the parking lot. And you know every time you see him, and you remember about him averaging 28 a game, and the 28 he dropped in the NCAA tournament against Rhode Island, etc. People look at him and they say, Steph Curry. What does Coach Seth Greenberg say to all of that?
It's not fair to compare him to Steph Curry. I mean, just not fair. He doesn't defend like Steph. His decision-making isn't as good. His vision is, but his decision-making isn't. And all those, logo, and I'm the first one who said he had logo range. What an idiot because all those logo shots were bad shots. He'll make some. He make 30% of them. But, how's that flying in an NBA locker room? How's his lack of offensive shot discipline flying in the NBA locker room? He's talented. The best thing he does is if he really became a real willing passer, he's got unbelievable vision. And he makes great – he could really be good off of ball screens. But he guards no one. And in the NBA, and you know, Steve, because no one studies the NBA more than you do, with all the switching in the NBA, even the 1-5 ball screens, he's getting buried. He's not fighting to a front and letting the X out on the backside and rotating off. He's not doing that. Steph Curry will do that. He's not doing it.
I'm getting nervous. I'm getting nervous because I'm thinking about Trae Young ending up with the New York Knicks, and based on what you're saying, it's making me very nervous right now.
He'll get people excited.
No question about it.
For a little bit.
Who's the sleeper in this draft as far as you're concerned? The guy that we haven't been talking about that we need to watch because wherever he lands, he's going to make a difference for the team that grabs him. Who's that guy in this draft?
Two guys. Jerome Robinson from BC, who will end up going about 14 or 15, and Bruce Brown from Miami. Bruce Brown, Miami, 6'5", 6'9" wingspan. He didn't shoot it well because he was hurt all season. I'm just telling you, Bruce Brown can pass it. He can defend. He's athletic. He's tough. He's a great kid. He's a great teammate. Can defend multiple positions. You can switch with him. Bruce Brown's going to be a really good pro. He'll go to early in the second round. He's going to be a really good pro.
What's the best situation for Bagley out of Duke?
That's
got Sacramento at 2. You got Atlanta at 3.
I'll tell you what. I think Atlanta would be with Collins. Atlanta would be a good landing spot for him. Now, I do think Jackson's going to go there, but I think that anyone who plays with Collins, I think they'd be actually. If you said we're not playing with a real post, we're just playing with 2 forwards, that would be a really good situation for him. Really good situation. Sacramento wouldn't be bad, but I don't think he'll go there.
And Mo Bamba, the best situation for him?
I like Dallas because I think Dallas is totally committed to him, and they're really, I think that they're going to be patient, and they can throw him into the wolves, let him play, let him make mistakes, and let him play through his mistakes, and let him grow. Because I think as he grows, he'll be crazy good.
But if Mo Bamba is there at 5, or Doncic, I don't think Doncic will last. But if you had to pick between Mo Bamba and Doncic, which way you going?
Doncic's a safe pick. Mo Bamba's if you try to hit it out of the park.
Coach, appreciate you, man. I'll be listening to you tonight on ESPN Radio for the NBA draft coverage. Thank you so much, buddy.
You got it, pal. Thanks.
No problem. The one and only Seth Greenberg right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio, 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. That's always the number to call. My God, I'm so nervous about this draft. I'm just nervous. I really am. I just am. Because, see, here's my thing. When I think about this draft, I could see the New York Knicks having the 9th pick, and it's Sexton and Trae Young there, or it's Kevin Knox and Trae Young there, whatever. I can see it. And then all of a sudden, everything hits the fan. You see, I watched Trae Young against Texas Tech in a loss earlier this year, last February. I watched them lose to Texas. I watched that game. What was that losing streak again? I think it was like a 6-game losing streak. They lost to Texas and West Virginia. They lost to Texas again. They lost to Texas Tech. Kansas blew them out by 30. I saw that game February 19th. I'm looking at it now. They lost by 30 at Allen Fieldhouse in Kansas. 30. I mean, it's stuff like that. I just get so nervous, man, because I just don't have. Listen, maybe I should have a bit more confidence in the Knicks. They do have Scott Perry there now. And my God, does this man know talent? They do have Scott Perry there. And so if you got Scott Perry there, I mean, I got to have some confidence that you know what you're looking at. I got to have some confidence that you know where you're looking at. And if you're that guy, then I got to pay attention to you, and I got to give you props where props is due. I really do. I got to look at you, and I got to say to myself, okay, what does this guy bring to the table? And I just look at him right now, and I say, let's see. Let me look at this guy. Native of Detroit. Okay. This guy was working in the NBA for many years under Joe Dumars. We know this. In his time in Orlando, remember, he was on their staff when Orlando drafted Oladipo. We see how he's panned out. Can't knock that. So I'm just looking at it and I'm just saying, hey, I just don't know. We shall see. I'm just nervous. The Knicks make me so damn nervous. I just can't trust them. I just worry so much about them making the wrong pick. Trae Young can shoot, but makes poor decisions at times. And listen, he can pass the ball, but how willing will he be able to do so? Will he be willing to do so, rather? Sexton, athletic, feisty, competitive, has speed, questionable shot. Kevin Knox, I know he's 6'8", 6'9", and can shoot and move without the basketball. I don't know what he can do, but everybody's saying he could be a sleeper. Both Jay Billis and Seth Greenberg said he could be the sleeper. And this guy Holiday out of UCLA. Oh. I got to trust Scott Perry here. 6th consecutive trip to the Eastern Conference Finals when he was with Detroit under Joe Dumars. Back-to-back NBA Finals appearances. An NBA championship in 2004. All right? Was an assistant general manager for the Supersonics, rather, for one season. That was the staff that drafted Kevin Durant. Not that was a hard decision. But he's associated with the Detroit Pistons champions. He's associated with Kevin Durant being drafted. He's associated with Victor Oladipo being drafted. I got to trust him. I got to trust Scott Perry. I got to hope and pray that James Dolan doesn't contaminate the situation in any way. Knicks are not the only team to think about, obviously. They had number 9. It's going to be real interesting to see what happens in Chicago as well. They got the 7th pick. They got to make a decision or re-up in Zach LaVine. It's going to be real interesting to see what happens in Dallas. I mean, my God, you're the Dallas Mavericks. Can we get relevant again, please? Pretty please with sugar on top. It's a great city. You might have the worst football fan base known to mankind with those nauseating, disgusting Dallas Cowboy fans who make me want to vomit every day. But you're a great city. Great fan base. And I would just love to see them relevant again. I really, really would. With Mark Cuban and Rick Carlisle there, I don't understand for the life of me why they can't get some players. Memphis, every time I think about the Memphis Grizzlies, I think about one thing. I wish the team would move to Seattle. I think the city of Seattle deserves a basketball team again. I really do. It's too damn far of a flight, I'll admit that. But it's a great city. It's a great sports town. And I think the Seattle Supersonics, there should be a basketball team there. There should be an NBA basketball team there. They need to get it together, get a first-class NBA arena so we can get a team back in Seattle. Because Memphis ain't the answer. I just don't think it is. They still celebrating Elvis. That's just how I feel about it. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. We'll continue with your calls on this NBA draft night. Live from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Looking forward to talking about it further. Also going to get into a little NFL action because Malcolm Jenkins made some news today, had some conversations this morning. And I'll tell you what he was talking about. The Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl safety was talking about. All that and more coming up next. Don't touch that dial. You're listening live to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I feel like a whole new person.
Disclaimer, you will not become a whole new person. This is impossible. You might be able to join a gym or diet program, buy a new wardrobe, get hair implants, but your DNA and physical form will remain the same. Geico waives any and all liability if you attempt to become a new person, except a cyborg. If you choose to become a half-human, half-cybernetic organism with lasers for eyes, the Geico legal team would be cool with that, because, quote, laser eyes are pretty sweet. Pew, 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 end quote.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Before I get to the phones, I wanted to transition to the NFL for just a quick second. Because if you recall, approximately almost 2 weeks ago, President Donald Trump asked NFL players for pardon recommendations. President Trump, long reportedly at odds with NFL players over protests during the national anthem, expressed the desire to written, according to one article. It said one of the main reasons some NFL players have been protesting is the topic of criminal justice reform, a topic that's obviously very, very important to Eagle safety Malcolm Jenkins, amongst many others. It said early in the week of January 8th, when Jenkins used posters to illustrate his point that people hadn't been listening, several of his statistics were based on the idea of the criminal justice reform. Trump acknowledged this one reason for protest Friday morning, a couple weeks ago, that is. He said, quote, I'm going to ask all of these people to recommend to me because that's what they're protesting, people they think were unfairly treated by the justice system. And I understand that. I'm going to ask them to recommend to me people that were unfairly treated, friends of theirs or people that they know about. And I'm going to take a look at those applications. And if I find, or my committee finds that they are truly or unfairly treated, then we will pardon them or at least let them out of prison. Well, Malcolm Jenkins was on the show Get Up this morning on ESPN. And here's what Malcolm Jenkins, for the Philadelphia Eagles had to say about that. Listen up.
And the problem with just submitting a few names to get pardoned is that it doesn't actually address the issues and why people have been punished and incarcerated for really long amounts of time for really small offenses. And so when we talk about how many people are stuck in our federal prison system that have been there for years due to the war on drugs and these nonviolent offenses that are costing us money, costing us talent, and destroying families and communities, we wanted to make sure if we did present a list, it would have thousands of names on it.
Right.
So we wanted to address that and respond to that and draw attention to the fact that not only do we need to let these people out for being there so long, But we actually need to change the system so that when we let some people out, we don't just replace them with new bodies.
Good points on his part. And contemporary of his, former Giants kicker Lawrence Tynes. He had the most profound point of it all. Upon learning of Trump's request, Lawrence Tynes went on Twitter and said on his Twitter page, I think it's at @it4kicks, the number 4 kicks, KICKS. He had tweeted that day Trump said that, Mark R. Tynes, inmate, hashtag 05559-017, serving 27 years, currently in year 16 for selling weed. Lawrence Tynes' brother is serving a 324-month sentence for a weed-related violation. You heard what Malcolm Jenkins said. I completely agree with him. Trump's suggestion does not resolve the issue, does not resolve the problem. Nonviolent offenders being sentenced to that much time in jail is a problem. And clearly the criminal justice system needs to address it. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Back to the phones we go. My boy Champ, I knew he would be calling in today. What's going on, Big Time? How are you?
I'm great. Talk
to me. What's on your mind?
Am I allowed to suggest a name that the president should pardon?
Sure.
I mean, I think the former mayor of Detroit should be pardoned. He received 28 years for a federal crime, and I think some questions that they should take a review on it. That's just my opinion. I don't know too much of the case hands-on, but I think 28 years for a nonviolent crime is just too much. And
you're just talking about the principle of the amount of years when a crime is nonviolent.
Well, it's everything is case by case, but I think this is a special situation. It made national news, and sometimes when it makes the news, you can. You're talking about Kwame.
You're talking about former mayor of Detroit, Kwame Kilpatrick, right?
Kwame Malik Kilpatrick, 100%. I believe he should be pardoned.
All right,
that's just me.
All right. I don't know. I got to look into that a little bit more, but it was definitely nonviolent, and I hear where you're coming from. But go ahead, Champ. What were you calling about?
I was calling about the NBA draft. You know, every year, it's fun for all these teams who haven't made the playoffs. It's they championship for the lottery. But I really wanted to ask you this: with the one and done and straight out of high school since Kevin Garnett, I mean, how many guys have really impacted the NBA in the first year and led their team to the playoffs? But Carmelo Anthony, Amari Stoudemire, I could think offhand. And the reason why I'm saying this is the number one pick is not the prize of all prize. And I think for everybody saying that DeAndre Ayton is the consensus number one pick, and he should be, I think Phoenix should take a look at moving the pick and moving down. And I like Trae Young. I like Trae Young in Phoenix with the addition of Devin Booker and Josh Jackson. It reminds you of a pre-Golden State run. You know, Josh played the Draymond Green role. You got Booker and Young as the new Splash Brothers, and you can build off that. A lot of times when we look at the dominant player of a Shaquille O'Neal, meaning DeAndre Ayton, you know, you may get that, but you may not. I think you're making a huge gamble when we're making him the number one pick. I suggest you move down because I'm going to ask you this, Steve. How many number one picks have won multiple championships with their franchise over the last 30 years? What, Elijah Wan, Tim Duncan, and Magic Johnson, if I'm not mistaken. And that's about it. What you think about that?
Well, I think, when was Isaiah Thomas picked?
I think Isaiah was, I don't have it offhand, I think he was like 2. Yeah, okay. He wasn't number one. He wasn't the number one pick.
Because I would tell you, you're probably right about that, but in the same breath, it's not to me just about championship. Sometimes it's about contention. And when I look at the draft, I look at how questionable the other pieces are. When I think about a guy like DeAndre Ayton, here's what I'm thinking about. You're 7'1", 260. You got skills on the offensive side of the ball, inside or out. You can't teach 7'1". And on top of it all, there's no definitive bona fide kind of stud in the draft like the LeBron James of the world and others. There's not that figure. When you combine that with the fact that it's the Phoenix Suns, where he played right down the road at the University of Arizona, you're a moribund franchise if ever there was one. All you got is Devin Booker and nothing else. And the reality is that, you know what, you've been losing for the last years and you haven't been relevant since D'Antoni and Steve Nash were there. I don't think you have a choice in terms of taking a chance. I think you've got to go with the safest bet, and I think DeAndre Ayton is that.
I get that from a business perspective. But when you say LeBron James, his first 2 years he didn't make the playoffs. So he wasn't a King Miss talent. But I want to hear you with this. I think the best player in the right situation, because when I evaluate player success, I always say the best player when he have everything built around him to his strength. I think this kid, Mo Bamba, is the third coming of Kevin Garnett and Anthony Davis. He gets in the right situation. This guy can win 4 to 5 Defensive Player of the Year awards. He is special, and he had and like I said last year with Josh Jackson, Alonzo.
So you're saying that you like Mo Bamba better than DeAndre Ayton?
Here's why. It's a special player because I like the big man who can defend the pick and roll. You can always find you a point guard. It's not that many special two guards and a prolific small forward. You can always find a facilitator. That's why I always pull LeBron out of my top 5 because I don't need him as my facilitator when I can have a point guard. Mo Bamba at 7 foot with that wingspan, if he gets in the gym and gets fully developed, defensively, he's off the charts. Offensively, you can get better if you want to by just getting in the gym. Defense is all about a mentality. That's why I always say this. The word on Josh Jackson, it's not out yet. He still has time because defensively he's so special. I just felt last year L.A. should have went with Josh instead of Lonzo. We never brought up the Tatum thing because Tatum was more skilled than both. But Mo Bamba, potentially-wise, he's number 1 on the board for me in my draft board, the way I look at it.
For me personally, I got 8 and 1 and Bamba 2. That's just me.
That's fine.
That's
fine,
by the way,
I think the best.
Go ahead. Real quick, go ahead.
So I think the best situation for Trae Young is the Phoenix Suns. I think he would be a bust if he's not a Phoenix Sun. The same thing with Curry. Curry is great, but he's Hall of Fame, special, elite by playing with Klay Thompson. No Klay Thompson, we wouldn't even be talking about Steph Curry.
Gotcha. By the way, in 1981, Isaiah Thomas was the number 2 overall pick. You're right. Mark Aguirre was number 1. Out of DePaul, went to Dallas before he ultimately ended up as Zeke's teammate. Appreciate you, champ. Thanks a lot for the call, man. Thanks so much.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Back to the phones we go. Chris in L.A., you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead, buddy.
Hey, Stephen A. To talk to me here real quick. I just want to say I think I disagree with your buddy Champ on your last call when he says that there was no Klay Thompson. We wouldn't be talking about Steph Curry. So I just wanted to throw it out that I disagree with him as far as that. But real quick, 2 quick questions for you, Stephen A. Regarding Kawhi Leonard, what do my Lakers have to do to get him? Because I refuse to give up both Kuzma and Brandon Ingram. That's number 1. And number 2, do you think Daryl Morey of the Houston Rockets should take a chance at trading for Kawhi Leonard, knowing he's not going to resign? He wants to be in Los Angeles. Do you think they should take a chance on him, knowing that Chris Paul is not getting any younger? They don't know what they're going to, if the same Chris Paul is going to even come back, and take that 1 year since they were so close to beating Golden State this previous year.
I don't think they should do anything because you'd have to give up assets that have already worked for you. Remember, the only team you lost to was the best team in the world. So the bottom line is I think Houston should stand pat. In terms of the Los Angeles Lakers, you know what you do to get Kawhi Leonard? Wait. Kawhi Leonard has made it very clear he wants to be a Laker, and he doesn't care about the money. So the $219 million max extension, he don't care about that. Kawhi Leonard is going to ball, and then he's going to become a free agent, and then he's going to want to go to L.A. unless they move him somewhere else and let him be somebody else's problem. That's what's going to happen. Appreciate the call, Chris. Thanks a lot. John in Jersey, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, Stephen A. How you doing, my friend?
I'm all right. Talk to me.
Calm me down, Stephen A. I'm very, very nervous about this Knick draft at 9 tonight, just like you are. I don't want to choke on my popcorn and spit up my beer watching this tonight. Mm-hmm. I've heard Mikal Bridges, Stephen A. I don't want to go that route because to me that's an easy, lazy pick. The best thing I've heard about him is that he's going to be solid. I don't need solid. I need special, and I want to go for Kevin Knox. He's explosive. He's younger than Bridges is. He's got a bigger upside. He can rock the rim. He can shoot from the perimeter. He can move well without the basketball. He's got special written all over him. And when you're the New York Knicks, you got to hit this big tonight. You cannot swing and miss, Stephen A. I got to go big. I also heard Alan Hahn mention there's a possibility we acquire a second first-round draft pick. I'd like to see that happen tonight. Maybe a package of Courtney Lee and that high second-round draft pick you got in the Carmelo Anthony trade, and you get another piece there. We need a pair of building blocks in this draft that we can move forward in a positive direction and feel good about with David Fizdale's program, Stephen A. We really do.
Well, listen, you can say all you want, but at the end of the day, it comes down to players. And with Porzingis expected to not be healthy before January, I think the pick is so important because it needs to inspire Porzingis to want to come back. Once he comes back, he needs to play inspired basketball as well, because the combination of the two is going to make the 2019 free agency class attractive, or the Knicks attractive to them. And I think that's the important thing that you're trying to peel out from all of this. But thanks a lot. Looking forward to talking to you tomorrow based on what we see tonight. Rob, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
Just to piggyback on what the both of you just said, I just don't want to see what happened last year happen this year again. There was way too much talent still left in the draft, and we settled. I don't want to see the Knicks settle this year. I want to see them come out with something good.
You say the Knicks settled. I say Phil Jackson was asleep at the wheel.
Two, the good thing about this draft is that we don't have to worry that Phil Jackson has his hand in this draft.
That's right. That's right. I definitely think that the New York Knicks as an organization is in much better hands now than they were last year with Phil Jackson. Absolutely. Dave, you're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Real quick, Dave, go ahead.
Hey, man, let me give you a little more insight in what you've been getting on this draft, man. I really watched this college basketball.
All right, you only got 40 seconds, though, but go ahead.
But listen, man, DeAndre Ayton, he's a David Robinson all day, man. So the next year, you're probably going to complain about him not being more physical. He is no Shaquille O'Neal. He's David Robinson. And, man, as far as your Knicks, though, like I like what Champ said. That dude on point, man. He gave you the real spill. As far as your Knicks, man, like you said about the Lakers, they're going to get Kawhi Leonard. Just wait. You just wait. Y'all going to get Kyrie
The Knicks are going to get Kawhi Leonard?
No. Y'all going to get Kyrie Irving, and y'all going to get Karl Anthony Towns. And y'all going to get Karl Anthony Towns.
All right, we'll see.
All they need to do is pick the right draft pick to complement them.
All right, Dave, I got to go. Take it easy. We're going to get Kyrie Irving. I heard you speaking. From your lips to God's ears. Talk to y'all in 22 hours. Good luck with the draft tonight. Peace and love.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.